we are going to see what's new in the Android enterprise world, specifically for Android 10, the latest version. So I'm going to focus on features for enterprise, so nothing so consumer features such as dark mode or everything. So let's begin. Here is the quick agenda. I will quickly introduce the evolution of Android enterprise. Then I will try to have more time in the new features. This is where the big work is done. And I would like to speak a bit more about device admin depreciation, because we spoke about that since a long time and now it's becoming real. So let's see what is concretely happening today and what will happen tomorrow. And we will finish with the Q&A, and that will be it. So let's begin with the evolution of Android enterprise. So Android enterprise is quite old right now. It goes back to 2015 with Android Lollipop. In the beginning, it was already possible to have two possible scenarios, the work profile and the fully managed devices. Then we see some great additional features on the way. For example, runtime permission in Marshmallow, work profile password, and turn off work mode in Nougat. And with Oreo, we even had a new scenario for Android devices, the work profile for fully managed devices, which we call copy as well, corporate owned personally enabled. And the big one as well, the zero-touch provisioning method, which is similar to Apple DEP. With this one, we were really in a good place for Android enterprise company to use it. And now with Android Q, or 10, they add even more features for privacy and everything like this. This is very focused on privacy, security, and enterprise features. You can see that most of the features are incremental. We saw Android enterprise now as a mature OS. It's already one of the bigger OS used for enterprise, because before Apple was the big boss to say, but now Android enterprise is a real deal. So let's dig in Android 10 new features, see what's happening. As I told you, the focus now is very on privacy and end user experience. They want more IT control and security tools for admin and also for users. So the first one that we would like to share with you, as Laurent told you before, is that they are trying to open a bit of the work profile to make it easier for the users. The idea is really to have the user experience at most easiest way possible. So now it's possible to see work events from personal calendar or other apps. So they are giving us more choice to open the work container. This is good news because it was already possible before to access, for example, work contacts from the personal profile, but now they open it more with, for example, calendar. And we'll see if they do it with other items later. Now, as someone who's run work profile for the last couple of years, it's a great improvement in the workflow because we don't have to jump in and out of the work personal calendars anymore to ensure there is no overlap. Indeed, there are privacy and security implications by exposing work-related entries outside of the work container. So this needs to be discussed by security teams. We need to understand what is happening and what we let or in or out of the work container. Something great is that we can choose to whitelist app access, have full access, or completely block it. This is really something the admin can change and can control. And one last important thing about this is this feature will be backported to old version as well. So even if your device is run 8 or 9, they will get this feature. Maybe not in the same time, maybe later, but at the end they will get it. So this is a very nice improvement for end user usability. Next one is something about privacy. They decided to route this to the top level in settings because one of the great concerns of users is privacy. And before it was kind of hidden. Nobody knows really what is happening, what can they see, what the company sees and everything. So now this is a nice way to show users that privacy is a top priority. And by this means, we can gain more trust from the users and therefore have better adoption of Android Enterprise in the companies. Users can find a number of important controls such as web and app activity, location history, ad settings, permission manager, etc. And that's all in one place. Another one which is related to privacy is location controls. This is also something users they care about because they don't want to be tracked everywhere. So now you can choose for each app and control when your location is shared. You can choose always, while in use, or never. This was already done in iOS, and this is now available in Android, and it is very, very important feature. It shows again that Google is trying to show the users that privacy is a top priority. Another one, more focused on usability and security, is that you can now choose separate keyboards for work and personal profile. Previously, if admins wanted to see a specific keyboard or block the use of custom ones, it was for all devices. Now it's possible to have separate keyboards. It's not device-wide anymore. This helps to protect against malicious keyboard attacks that can be used to steal work-related passwords, for example. And we have a nice example of improving security while not impacting on the user's experience too much. And one nice feature, this one is more for admin. You can now configure feedback for managed configuration. So you can see the status of the managed configuration. Before, managed configuration were one-way transactions, and now they can send feedback so we can see, we have a better visibility over this as an admin. And I'm really looking forward to EMM to implement it as an admin because it makes life easier. One nice other feature is the improved provisioning tools. So now we can use work profile directly during the provisioning of company-owned devices. This is very new because before it was not possible to have this with the provisioning of company device. Do not confuse this with work profile on fully managed devices or copy. This will stay a work profile only, and you don't have device-wide level control. This is not a new deployment scenario, but rather the introduction of corporate provisioning tools for organizations, opting to leverage only work profile on their corporate device. And since before you had not the choice to use work profile mode only by provisioning with zero touch or QR code, this is a nice improvement for admins as well. And one again, for a provisioning method, you can now use enterprise Wi-Fi provisioning, EAP, for example, so you can include credentials or certificates in QR code directly, or even NFC if you need it. So now when a person scans the QR code or taps an NFC tag, the device automatically authenticates to a local Wi-Fi network using EAP and starts the provisioning process without any additional manual input. So this is a gain of time. In the silently wipe work profile, this is not a must-have feature, but still it can be useful to reduce the impact on users when you want to remove the work profile without sending any notification to them. So this is good to know that this now exists. This one is very important. The faster security updates, thanks to Google Play system updates. Before, most of them were pushed by the OEM, but now they found a way to use the Google Play services directly to push new updates about security and fixes. So now they can be sent directly to the device from Google Play, just the same way all other apps update. So we get these fixes as soon as they are available, and we don't have to wait on the OEM for all the security updates anymore. And this is a big difference in terms of security for Android. Speaking of updates, you can now choose to push system updates with files directly on the device. So the admins can have a big impact on that and really have a control on all the devices that they managed. So this only works on fully managed devices. You can now choose to have the file on an internal network or directly push it to the device to select a system update for the users. You can do, for example, test an update on a small number of devices before installing them widely. You can avoid duplicate download and bandwidth limited networks. You can also do stager installation or update devices only when they are not being used. So the admins have now choices and they can manage in a better way how system updates work, because before it was a bit more difficult and we had to rely on communication by mail or anything to tell the users, please don't update to Android 10 or anything. Now this can be controlled. You can push it yourself. And several OEMs have offered this for a while, but now it's a good sign that Android has this kind of feature built in, because it makes it more coherent between brands, and we don't rely so much on OEM. Another big change is now how the screen lock quality check works. The screen lock quality check API have been changed with the depreciation of device admin, and apps now will get new tools to check the quality of the credentials. Complexity levels have been implemented to be more understandable by users, and you can choose between 4 levels: no, low, medium, or high. For example, now an email app can query the complexity level of the device screen lock and direct the users to create a stronger password if the security policy isn't met. And for high quality passwords, you have, for example, PIN, which must be at least 8 of length or 6 for alphabetic and alphanumeric, and you cannot have repeating PIN like 4444 or in an order like 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can really block simple PIN. With medium, you also go like this, but you are a bit less difficult about the number of PIN, like length at least 4 instead of 8 or 6. And if you want to choose the low quality, then you can allow patterns, for example, and PIN with repeating sequences like 4444, which we don't recommend anyway. Another one that is quite useful is the DNS support for private, so DNS over TLS. They call it private DNS, and this will secure the transaction between your device and the DNS server. So this can avoid leaking DNS queries, including those of internal hostnames. Another big change is about certificate and the keychain. We can now delegate certificate selection to a specific app and filter the list of certificates a user can choose. For example, when a TLS server sends a certificate request, the certificate selection prompt only includes options that match the issuer parameters. And if no matching options are available, or there are no certificates installed on the device, then the selection prompt won't be displayed to the user. Before, it was different, and even if there were no certificates or if they didn't match the CA or anything like that, they were prompted. And actually, additionally, the keychain no longer requires the device to have a screen lock before keys or CA certificates can be imported. Okay, we already made the tour of the most important features that we saw. Now let's take a few moments to discuss the legacy device admin depreciation. So first of all, why is device admin legacy? Why do we need to change it? First of all, it's an outdated security model. It's very old, and it was never designed to meet advanced enterprise use cases. Also, it's an all or nothing management. There is no clear separation of work and personal, which has been greatly improved with the work profile since Lollipop. And before we used custom app wrapping to do the app configurations, but now we can use it directly in the managed Google Play, which is built in, and it is very, very efficient and safer and easier to implement and to manage. So you can see that it's a good idea to go forward with Android Enterprise. And if you don't, and you still have device admin, which some are still in use, what will happen on day 0? So it's already here because now all the pixels, they have the Android 10 already. But first of all, if you have Android before 9, nothing will happen. If you have Android 9, you will only show warning if the device has a DPC that targets Android 9. And if you have Android 10, again, you will see security exception and error and loss of functionality only if the DPC targets Android 10. So it's not directly related to the OS version. It's related to the DPC, which is the client used to manage your device. For example, for Mobile Island, it's the Mobile at Work app. And still, this DPC, this Mobile at Work, is targeting API levels before 10. So you won't see any error for now. But if we check what the approximate planning has been shown to us, all apps must target Q in mid or late 2020. So this is approximate, we don't know exactly, but we can think that at least in late 2020, device admin on Android 10 will not work at all anymore. So this is important to think about it and to prepare. If we check technically what is happening behind, why is it not working anymore? Well, they removed the support of 4 API calls, the disable camera, the key guard features, and 2 of the expire password and limit password. So all these API calls will not work anymore, and they implemented new ones. And if the DPC tries to call these API calls, then it will show an error. Also behind, we will lose these non-researchable device identifiers, such as the email and the MEID. Those won't be reported anymore with new registration of devices, with the serial number as well. And the ICC ID and the INTI, they will be completely removed if you upgrade to Android 10. So if you rely on them in your admin and your EML, you won't be able to use them anymore. And again, if we speak about the features on the device concretely, what those API calls do. So for example, the camera lockdown settings will be ignored for devices in device admin mode, so you won't be able to block anything regarding the camera. And also, you won't be able to mandate password expiry, which is a big deal because now we use it a lot. And also, the DPC won't be able to control the key guard, the smart lock, and other password settings for the screen lock quality check. We will have to deal with the new API that we have, with like the complexity level, such as no, low, medium, and high. And it will be mandatory to use it.